इससे पहले वाले वीडियो में मैंने आपको शिकागो के स्काई स्क्रैपर्स को लगभग आसमान से दिखाया था कि किस प्रकार से दिखते हैं वो। और 103वीं मंजिल थी वो, और हाइट मेरे ख्याल से कम 1.5 किलोमीटर के ऊपर तो होनी चाहिए पृथ्वी से ऊपर। और उससे मैंने आपको सारी बिल्डिंग्स के दृश्य दिखाए थे, और फिर वादा किया था कि मैं नीचे से अब आपको बेस से, उसके बॉटम से उन बिल्डिंग्स दिखाऊंगा। तो आज मैं अब आपको मैं मोटरबोट से ट्रेवल कर रहा हूँ। मोटरबोट्स क्यों कहेंगे उसको, क्रूज़ है वो, छोटे छोटे क्रूज़ हैं वो जो चलते हैं और उनसे वो साइट सीन्स, वो सारी बिल्डिंग्स दिखाते हैं। मैंने ये 2.5 घंटे का वीडियो जो है वो करीब 2.5-3 घंटे का वीडियो है, इसको कट शॉर्ट कर करके, क्लिपिंग्स कट शॉर्ट कर करके बहुत कंसाइज किया है कि 8 मिनट में 7 मिनट में ये आ जाए। बिल्कुल क्लिपिंग्स ली हैं, और लेकिन जो नरेशन दे रही है लेडी, बहुत अच्छा नरेशन कर रही है। वो सोनिया नाम की है, उज्बेकिस्तान की है वो, और उनको डिस्टर्ब नहीं करूँगा मैं, तो बीच बीच में मैं कुछ भी नहीं बोलूँगा, नहीं तो वो फिर वो तो आप ना उसको सुन पाएंगे ना मुझे सुन पाएंगे। ऐसा वो है, बीच में मैं कहीं इंटरप्ट नहीं करूँगा आपको। और आपको सोच रहे होंगे ये तो बात कर रहा है और ट्रैवल कर रहा है मेट्रो से नहीं, ये इन बिटवीन मैंने मेट्रो से जो ट्रैवल कर रहा हूँ उसको दिखा रहा हूँ। लेकिन आपको जो दिखाएंगे, सीन्स दिखाएंगे, बेस से सीन दिखा रहे हैं, वो आपके क्रूज ही होगा। और कृपया पूरा देखिएगा और एंजॉय करिएगा।
That's there, you'll notice there are sculptures that are on top of that. That's called the cornice. This building, though, is clad or covered in a substance that's fireproof. That terracotta is the substance. It can be colored. It is fireproof. Fireproof was important to Chicago because in 1871 there was a huge fire, and we'll talk more about it. You will see no buildings built of wood. The first building on this side, on your left side, I'm going to have you stay over on this side. That's why I point that out. And also, the Sheraton has the largest ballroom so far still in Chicago. So all of us here, we invite another 100 of our best friends. Best party, and you can hold it at the Sheraton, no problem whatsoever. Behind me, speaking of cars, you'll see sort of 2 levels to be able to have some access. Speaking of some access, the building I'd like you to take a look at is that river called the Belvedere. It's sort of sand colored. This type of architecture, as you look up at that temple-like building, wrecks me out. 1923 is when it was finished. All of those pathways. See that bridge? That kind of goes nowhere. I had 2 young men, in fact, my friends from India.
Yeah.
These 2 young boys happen to have been from India.
Howrah Bridge, Howrah, West Bengal. There is in West Bengal.
Oh, West Bengal. Okay.
All right, there is a bridge, Howrah Bridge.
Ah, okay. See, another connection.
Yeah.
But these 2 young boys, they're kind of bored. They were 10 and they were 12, right? So they grabbed their parents' phone and they took pictures of that bridge. Later on, the elements in those windows. I was talking about that Fidelity building. No decoration went through. It almost looks like there's the 55, but the one next to it. That glass building, look at the very top. There's a triangle, almost looks like a pyramid from Google. Next building, I'd like you to take a look at that sand-colored building. In the middle, there's a tall tower, and then there's 2 shorter towers. Well, in Chicago, we said no, no, no. So in the 1930s, laws were passed. 2 sort of towers with, on the top of the design, an arch. Again, post-meeting building here was designed by KPF 1983 too. As you can see, it reflects things that are around it. Once again, that postmodern sort of architecture. Goes right around the loop in Chicago and actually goes out to the burbs now. But originally, and it's very noisy. If I'm trying to rent the building, I don't want a really noisy sort of place. Behind you, I'm sorry, in front of you, behind me, I'd like you to take a look at the building that has an arch at the bottom and an upside-down smile at the tops. That is River Point Tower 2017. It has that red allowed to walk along any of these river walks because they reconverted with some hops. They bottled it, they canned it, and they shipped it back to Chicago. So when they were defrosting the refrigerator, if you will, the building sort of settled. So Harry Weiss, that architect, at the top. But you notice where that arch is, there's these round windows in that sort of cement-looking base. Those might be railroad owners were able to literally make money out of thin air. But we're coming to the confluence. We'll get a better view as we come out of the South Branch. But this steel is the hardest known, in 2017 when the building was completed. Getchen Partners are the architects, and you can certainly see in this building, built this building. As architects, they had this idea. I think it's more important for Getchen Partners were the architects. 2022 is when it was completed. Now, some people, as they look at the glass on this building, it sort of looks like there's folds in the glass. All of that steel and glass with the Civic Opera House. This was completed in 1929. Graham Anderson. I'm not going to, the sun is coming though, get those visors out. Over on your right hand side, there are 4 buildings you're going to take a look at. There's a bit of a progression in terms of design. We're moving those 2 buildings that happen to be mid-century modern as they were redoing of the Chicago River. So once again, if you're going to kind of get people left-hand side, on the right, on the River North area, you saw there were lots of landscaped walkways. The gentleman who designed this area, he was boat. This is the only harbor in the city of Chicago you don't have to move your boat because it's aerated. So if it's aerated, it can stand at Mies van der Rohe. So there's nothing fancy. The shape of the building, however, the wind that comes off Lake Michigan, it deters that wind. The wind goes around the building rather than straight into it. And apparently, if we both live from the Atlantic Ocean through the Great Lakes system, so this municipal pier was very, very important. And I want to mention that Ferris wheel, which is sort of our. So Mr. Ferris designs this Ferris wheel. Look at the height of that Ferris wheel. Cut it in thirds, take a third, put it on top. So this Ferris wheel was huge at that Columbian Exposition. The cars held 60 people because they were railroad cars. Sticking up in between some of the other buildings, sitting on top of a greenish colored building. That gold finger truly is 24 karat gold shaded. Dye it, comes in different colors. I really was telling the truth. That's an example. Also a wonderful place to catch a libation, and it has a great rooftop sort of terrace, kind of. Marina City. Bertrand Goldberg is the architect, 1967. Once again, as we talked on the South Branch, his idea was if you were a place for people to enjoy music, bowling alley is still there, movie theater is still there, and of course any sort of dry cleaners, grocery store, etc. Anything you would need. Currently, it is apartments and condominiums. If you like the river and you want to rent a little electric boat, you notice once again Bertrand Goldberg, just like at River City, there's a place here to dock your boat, and also if you want to rent a boat, you can rent a boat. Coming under the river, his teacher, Mies van der Rohe, to get in the way of the view of my students. Now, that could be a story, it could be the truth. I want to think teacher and student. So that AMA building is an office building and a very upscale hotel. If you look at his sort of name in the back of your brain, he was the lead designer. This particular building, you'll notice people walking along once like a cathedral. And you would be right. That is the Tribune Tower. It used to be the Tribune Building, but the Tribune Tower completed in 1925.